Hello, everyone. Welcome to our summer and tropical weather outlook panel discussion. As the outlook was just presented, and as we head into the warm season months here, we can expect another active, thunderstorm pattern to set up across the United States and North America, and then also a near average tropical weather season is expected upcoming. My name is Brad Nelson. I'm a meteorologist and a solution engineer at DTN. And with me today is Arian Peace, Senior Product Manager, and Kevin Stenson, Global Commercial Leader at DTN. So in relation to our latest DTN Summer and Tropical Outlook, we are going to quickly cover a few topics of interest around the warm season weather impacts, specifically to airport operations. So let's get going. Let's begin here. All right. First question for you guys. Considering the impacts of tropical weather and thunderstorms on airport operations, what are the primary operational challenges and some of the key decisions that they face ahead of and during these periods of adverse weather? Aryan, I believe you can answer this one. You want to kick it off?
Yeah, thank you, Bert. I think I can. Well, if we think about tropical weather and the convective season well on the way in the US, we obviously think about thunderstorms and thunderstorms associated with either tropical systems or as part of convective weather always possess the threat of the obvious thing like lightning, flooding, high winds, all the typical things that would impact aviation. Each year again. If I remember correctly from the outlook that we have, we got some unusually warm weather or warm water in the Gulf of in the Gulf and in the Florida area, which probably results in more thunderstorm activity around those areas. So yeah, I mean, it goes much further than locally on the airport. It is also in the airport vicinity when aircraft are coming in. And if we look at the tropical weather patterns, it's not that often, of course, that we see tropical systems or hurricanes actually go over one of the US major airports. But if one of them do track towards the US, it's of course always the uncertainty that comes with that. What is the exact track? Does the hurricane pass us? Does it actually go over us? And there's a lot of things that go into that. You have to remember that the airport, together with the airline in the air traffic control, they need to decide when to stop traffic coming in and out of that airport. There's some major decisions to be made there. So yeah, definitely a lot of uncertainty around that tropical weather. And I think Kevin can elaborate a little bit around that uncertainty and how we can handle that.
Yeah, thank you, Arian. Yeah, as we talk about weather, in general, I think the first word that can come to people's mind is uncertainty, right? So many times we think about there's the forecast, but how can that forecast deviate from what the original forecast was? How does that change with time? What's the confidence in the forecast? And as you factor all these together, all this has to be worked into the operational plans of the airport. So whether we're talking about airside operations, we're talking about landside, we're talking within terminal, this has many different implications on the weather forecast. So say, for example, you have an approaching hurricane coming toward an airport. What about your crew that obviously are not living at the airport? They're living out in the surrounding community. How do they get in? How do they get back out if it's forecast to be a very large hurricane? Um, Another example that you can kind of think about is once emergency operations are setting up in an air op situation, um, how are those tables kind of set up? Who are the crews in there that we need to communicate? Is it the maintenance crew? Is it a decision that the airport's trying to make with a particular airline as they try to coordinate whether that airline is coming in? So you have to kind of go that one step beyond the forecast and how that forecast is changing and really develop a plan around that so that we get into the language of the team that are making the decisions.
Makes a lot of sense, Kevin. Um, as a follow up with that, are there any other like expectations, wants, and needs that need to be factored in for specifically thunderstorm events and tropical storms and hurricanes on airport ops?
Yeah, I think every kind of weather creates its own challenge. So one of the things that come to mind is around thunderstorms. We think about airports along the Gulf Coast or flooding situations. So think about whatever the flood mitigation plans may be. One, again, getting into the airport, what may be some kind of diversion that needs to be taken around the roadways, getting in and out of the airport. But think about the airfield. If the airlines made the decision based on the airport's going to stay open, then that airport's open, and you have to think about the airfield operations from that perspective. So I think to your point, Brad, is it's not just that there's a thunderstorm. It's okay, is there going to be a lot of rain? And if there's going to be a lot of rain, what does that really mean for the airfield? Where are the trouble areas? How do we talk about those trouble areas? If it's a hurricane, obviously, you have everything from tropical storms up to Category 5. The decisions become larger as, of course, the hurricane becomes more intense, and so that may create more frequent or different kind of discussions.
I totally agree, Kevin. I mean, for example, if you would get like a hurricane towards Miami, for example, you have to keep in mind that not only you have to decide together with the airport and the airline when to stop operating, but there's also the fact that you have a lot of overnight aircraft usually at those hub airports that are the first wave out in the morning. You have to relocate those aircraft, you have to relocate the crew. So it's not just only the airport, it's the whole chain of events that kicks off with these things.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's so much to think about, right? I mean, there's so many variables in play, so many stakeholders. It's not just, the flights leaving on time, the managing the delays, that it's the airfield, it's the personnel, it's the traffic in and out of the airport as well. So all very good points. Thank you. So my third question that I have is, how could these our professional weather support solutions, like with DTN, help with managing these impacts to airport operations? Arjen, why don't you kick this one off, and then Kevin can go after.
Yeah, thank you. We have a whole suite of products available for both the airport and airline operations. We have a lot of excellent weather data. We have a good online platform called Weather Century Airport Edition that can help you mitigate these events. We also have a lot of good data for airlines regarding turbulence, forecast, etc. And I think Kevin can elaborate a little bit more on one of our unique services.
I think probably one of the more unique aspects of DTN is when we talk about the world of aviation, we are connected globally, and we're connected in many different ways. So let me kind of explain that a little bit. So we provide weather for flight planning, flight tracking, for the electronic flight bags for about half the tails flying commercially. So we understand the operations at airlines, at airports. We also have a lot of insight there, not only around the products that our product team has designed, but also our meteorological knowledge to understand how weather is those operations or caters to those particular operations. So as you look, as there's coordination happening between the airport and the airlines, we understand both sides of that discussion. And then our meteorologists also understand both sides of that discussion, and they can help optimize the different solutions that product has developed, like Weather Century, how to have that set up so that as you're connecting through your different trigger charts to be able to trigger whatever operational decisions or maintenance decisions, we have helped you in that situation. And then when you talk to one of our risk communicators, we understand that full loop.
Yeah, that's a great segue, for what I want to touch on is having that professional meteorologist in the loop. That really is fully understand the airport's operational challenge is so important, really. We have a risk communicator team that is dedicated to providing that full support during adverse weather situations. So, what we've found recently, in an ever-changing world of risk communication, is that our customer partners value having that one or two meteorologists there working with them through every significant weather event, and they're providing that valued consultation, insights, and it allows the airports to be well prepared and respond, accordingly to these weather conditions. So, um, yeah, it's great. Our team of weather risk experts really provides that whole support experience along with our products and other solutions. Starting with a workshop to identify the challenges, the weather thresholds, the key decisions, the trigger charts, like you mentioned, Kevin, and then following up on risk assessments and storm reports as post-storm reports as needed. So it's really a service that allows our partners to save money, time, efforts, increases safety measures and efficiencies for airports. So
Yeah. It's not only around mitigating the actual event, but also allowing the airport and the airlines to get back to normal operations as soon as possible.
Right. Yeah. It's eliminating, cutting down on that downtime as much as possible is extremely important. So, all right. Well, with that, go ahead, Kevin. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you touched on something, Brad, that's pretty important there as we're talking about closing the loop. Obviously, with weather, we're in the prediction business, so we're looking into weather events that are being forecast. We're providing updates during the weather event, but an important part to complete that chain is a post-event analysis. So going through what worked, what didn't work, kind of understanding the bigger reports, because after a large event like this, there will be many discussions around the airport with their customers, which are the airlines, and we can help support from that perspective, which is a unique advantage.
That's very true. So I think we'll kind of wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone's input. Thanks you everyone for listening. Aryan and Kevin, your professional input is extremely valued. So I thank you very much. Everyone, have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.